The charge being levelled by those who support Disha Ravi is that the Delhi police have failed to follow the guidelines laid down by the Supreme Court in the Arnesh Kumar versus the State of Bihar 2014 case when it comes to arrest. That when she was arrested from Bengaluru, she should have been produced before a court in Bengaluru for obtaining a transit remand as she was being moved between states. She was not. She was produced before a duty magistrate in the Patiala High Court, who by no means is the nearest magistrate as required by Clause 2 of Article 22. She did not have an opportunity to seek legal counsel, nor was one provided to her. This is a breach of Clause 1 of Article 22. These actions by the Delhi police have made a complete mockery of the procedure established by law in depriving Disha Ravi to the right to life and liberty. How do you respond to these charges being made about the manner in which the Delhi police acted? Arya Masundra.
Well, these charges will be responded in the court, and the court will decide what the answer to these charges are. But let me just point out one thing. There is a caveat in all this, that if the imprisonment is more than 7 years, the question of the pre-investigation under Section 41A is not mandatory at all. And that is the law. The fact is, for the kind of charges which are sought to be levied, or rather the FIR has been registered, there are charges which have imprisonments which are far beyond the 7 years, and therefore there will be an argument put forward that they were perfectly justified in arresting her and bringing her to the nearest magistrate at the place where the FIR has been registered, and that is exactly what was done. And if she had so moved, she could have moved for transit bail and got transit bail. So I'm not going into the legalities of this. The technical aspects of this will be decided. But for example, if somebody has committed a murder in Delhi and the person is in some other state, I don't see how this 41A pre-investigation for give a summons, let the person answer to the summons will apply. It would not apply in such a case. So we have to keep the issue of that judgment within the four corners of that judgment.
Okay.
But coming now to the main thing, Rahul, my own feeling of it is, if you want me to comment on it, otherwise
no,
I'll
go on. I'm
right
very keen on knowing what you think. Go ahead.
Well, my feeling on the whole thing is it's very, very premature right now. Unfortunately, you know, I'm a huge believer in freedom of speech, as you well know, and speech and expression. But there are restrictions to that which we always recognize. Now, one of the problems of this freedom of speech and expression is, while you have the freedom to speak and say what you wish, if it transcends any law, you face the consequences for that. Now, there are restrictions under Article 19(2) which the government may impose, but assume the government has not imposed any restrictions against your saying something on a given occasion, and you say it, and you're free to say it. But then, if what you have done is going to affect a law, which and you are going to have breached a law, you have to pay the consequences for it. Now, if you take a case like the present one, today with social media especially, the question of acting against the government, against the integrity and sovereignty of India, these are areas where the social media, far more than before where a person stood up and gave a speech standing in a podium, today with social media there's a lot which can be done. And the police charge seems to go on the basis that there seems to be the involvement of the Khalistanis in the violence which took place. The proof of the pudding was the violence which took place. That was definitely an illegal act. There seems to be an allegation that there's an involvement of Khalistani monies and Khalistani movement within it, and they have penetrated that particular protest. There is an allegation that she has been in touch with them, that she has edited the toolkits. Now, these allegations may be made out, they may not be made out. But based on the allegations, assuming those to be true, well, law has its consequences, free speech has its consequences.
Okay. Avani Bansal,
your freedom to do what you feel is right has its consequences.